What is up, everyone? Welcome to episode 221 of the Fight Library. I'm your host, Blaine Henry, and wow, has it been a while. I uploaded a little article reading for everyone, just kind of to satiate you guys over, and because it was so long, like, wow, there's no fights at all. It was crazy. No boxing. I didn't cover any wrestling like I've been wanting to do. I'm kind of a bad wrestling fan, I guess. No MMA, like no Bellator, nothing. I was out of my mind. So yeah, but we're back. We are back for UFC Vegas 44, I believe it is. Calvin Kattar versus Giga Chikadze. That's what it is, and it's a fight card. Like, I almost made a tweet about it, talking about how the UFC is going to force feed us bad fight cards, and I had this picture, which is right here, and it's just us being fat and force fed these horrible fight cards, and it's like, what are we gonna do? But you know, this one, they got some decent stuff on it, you know. So, like, let's talk about fights for the first time in forever. First of all, the poster for this was cool. If you saw in the thumbnail. The poster for this is really different. It looks like they're actually trying on the posters now. So yeah, 145 main event, Calvin Kattar versus Giga Chikadze. Really interesting because Calvin Kattar hasn't fought since he got beat up last January against Max Holloway. He took some time off, which is what he should be doing. Actually, wow, 364-day difference. He fought on the 16th of last year in January, and this fight's on the 15th, so almost a year exactly. But like, he was on a decent run. I thought he beat Zabit Magomed Sharipov, but we didn't get that. So, yeah, I just got taken over by a virus on Tapology. That's odd. Anyway, so Calvin Kattar, I thought he beat Zabit. You know, it was real close. He came on strong. He got a win against Ricardo Lamas. A loss to Renato Moicano. Beat Shane Burgos. But his run up to Max Holloway was Jeremy Stevens, and that Zabit loss, Stevens, and then Ige, which he looked real good. Against Max Holloway, he looked real bad. I'm talking terrible. So he took that time off because he took a very, very bad beating in that fight. It was ugly. So I'm happy to see he took some time off. And his opponent, Giga Chikadze, has the Georgian kickboxer coming straight out of glory. He's had a good run in the UFC, although, like, it's been pointed out on Jack Slack's podcast, you know, he hadn't really fought anybody in MMA. Like, his debut was 4-1 guy. Fought a guy who was making his debut in a second fight, and then a 1-10 guy, and then an 0-13 guy, then an 0-1 guy when he's 3-1, then he's 0-0 in Gladiator, and then he goes to the Contender Series and loses a rear naked choke to Austin Springer, so he doesn't get the contract. Goes back to Gladiator Challenge, 2-31, 0-1 he's fighting, and then he gets the call up to the UFC, right? So it's like, oh, okay, whatever. They did book him against Yusuf Zalal on the Contender Series, and that was a short notice change is what it looks like. So that would have been a fun fight. Wow. Two really good kickboxers. He gets a call up to the UFC, and all of a sudden he decides, I'm going to start winning. So he beats Brandon Davis by split decision. You know, he beats Jamal Emmers by split decision. Then he beats Erwin Rivera by unanimous decision. And then he beats Omar Morales by unanimous decision. Okay, so, you know, Giga Chikadze, he's pretty decent. And then all of a sudden, he hits Jamie Simmons with a head kick and ground and pound, knocks him out in round 1. And all of a sudden, Giga Chikadze is a monster. Body kick to Cub Swanson in round 1 and knocked him out. Round 3 against Edson Barboza in his last fight in August. And he won that one, round 3, via punches. That fight was incredible, actually, because he dismantled Edson Barboza. And Edson Barboza is a kickboxing guy. So going into that fight, I asked myself, I'm like, who's going to win this fight? Is it going to be the guy who is known for his Muay Thai kickboxing, like Edson Barboza, with his insane like striking abilities, or is it going to be the guy who fought for glory? Because that's where Giga Chikadze comes from, is glory kickboxing. And I couldn't pick Edson Barboza in that fight. A lot of people were like, "Yo, Giga ain't fought nobody," but it's the classic, style make matchup, and we see, in glory he beat Ken Tron, Kevin Van Nordsten, Sergey Adamchuk, Christian Masereri, Victor Pinto, lost to Kevin Van Nostrand in the second fight. Alexei Ulanov lost to Dilvin Salvador at Glory Heroes. So he's been around the block, Glory, and just kickboxing in general for a while. So I had a hard time picking him, picking Barboza over Chikadze, and for a good reason too. We saw that. How are we going to pick a kickboxer against, a guy who's a MMA kickboxer? This is a completely different world. So now we get into Calvin Kattar versus Chikadze. Very even matchup. Obviously Kattar has the MMA experience, but Calvin Kattar's known for his boxing, and I don't see that working against Giga Chikadze, honestly. I just don't see it happening. Giga Chikadze is a very good boxer, a very good kickboxer. So is Calvin Kattar. I actually favor Giga Chikadze over Max Holloway. As crazy as that sounds, right? I don't always favor him over Max, if that makes sense, too. I believe Giga has the opportunity to really go in there and cause some damage to Holloway early on in one of their fights, to where it will affect Max later in the fight. But the later the fight goes, the worse it is for Giga. So Max has a chin of granite, and Giga will be the one to test that for sure, if they ever fight, which would be a fantastic fight, mind you not. But at the same time, styles make fights, like I've said already, and I don't think that Volkanovski is an easy fight for Giga at all. Volkanovski just has this knack about him to make things miserable in the cage with him, and he's very, very good when it comes to game planning. So, Giga versus Max, let's go. Giga versus Volk, I'm good. And that leads us to, UFC 272, which was supposed to be Holloway Volkanovski 3. Obviously, Volk's ready to fight. This winner could very well get a title shot. They're talking about Korean Zombie possibly, but I think they're going to wait till after this weekend and see what kind of damage comes in. I like that idea. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun fight, I think. I think this is another good win for Giga on his record, though, honestly. I'm sorry to, the Boston natives out there, but, it's one of those fights to where, this is a stylistic matchup perfect for Giga Chikadze. So, yeah, let's move on down the card a little bit. I don't really have much more to talk about. Katlyn Chookagian versus Jennifer Maia. How does Caitlyn keep getting these cards this high on the card? Yeah, let's continue. Brandon Royval versus Rogeria Bontoro, and that's a fight if I did not know one. Bontoro is very, very fun. The dude's got some really cool. He came into the scene with a standing rear naked choke on the first Dana White Contender Series, and since then, Magomed Biblatov, Raulian Pavia. He lost to Ray Borg, which it's very not good, and then he lost to Kai Kara France, which is okay. Then he comes back and he beats Matt Schnell at UFC 262. Now he's fighting Brandon Royval. Royval thrives in the chaos, and Bontoro brings some chaos, so I really like this. Now, Royval, tough fight with Alexandre Pantoja and Brandon Moreno. He had a shoulder injury, but he has that incredible win over Kai Kara France with the incredible 17 seconds of chaos. He beat Tim Elliott. Dude, he's an LFA veteran, which I like these guys. He fought with Casey Kenny, unanimous decision loss, but it was still through Casey Kenny. Beat Jerome Rivera. This guy's good. I really like what he brings to the table. And the flyweight, it's funny because they got rid of all the wrestlers. If you want to look back at everything that they got rid of when they did the purge and they were thinking about cutting the division, they got rid of the wrestlers. So they got a bunch of strikers, and it's been fun, honestly. So, yeah. Chase Sherman versus Jake Collier. I mean, that's a heavyweight fight that can be either banging or not banging. Jake Collier, isn't he the guy that's like was heavyweight or wasn't heavyweight, middleweight or something like that? I don't remember. I'm looking through. Yeah, he was light heavyweight. He comes in at middleweight. Yeah, so Jake Collier just kind of, you look at his Tapology picture, he let himself go. Last 2 fights, he beat John Vellante, lost to Carlos Felipe. He was a sacrificial lamb to Tom Aspinall, which was really cool to see. I like Aspinall, so yeah. The rest of his card's kind of like, TJ Brown's on it, fighting Gabriel Benitez. In a featherweight fight, Dakota Bush and Vyacheslav Borshev. Okay, Said Yakub Kakramanov versus Brian Kelleher, though, is a great fight. 135. Kelleher's always good. He's always fun, and he loses to good people. So this is a really good test to Kakramanov to see how good he is. So, if you look back at his run, not Kelleher's run, that is, his UFC, he's been in the UFC since UFC 212 when he beat Yuri Alcantara via guillotine in round 1. So he's real good on the ground. He's good at just grinding out a win, and he's got some good regional wins too. Julio Arce, right before he got in, he beat him twice actually. Andre Sukumthath, which that's not hindsight's not very good. He lost to Andy Main, who's a good fighter. So yeah, he's got some good, decent wins there. But moving into the UFC, he's kind of been off and on. Second fight was against Chito Vera, armbar, lost round 1. He beats the ghost of Renan Barão, loses back-to-back to John Lineker and Montel Jackson, beats Ode Osborne, who's not too bad. Hunter Azor, lost to Cody Stamann, beats Ray Rodriguez, Ricky Simon, he lost to Domingo Pilarte. So this is like kind of one of those fights for Said Yakub Kakramanov. He's an Uzbeki fighter, and he's come in. He's had a couple tougher opponents he lost to, but he's also looked pretty good. Against Trevin Jones, I was pretty impressed with him actually. So he comes into the UFC. He's got a win over Askar at HFC 2. And, his losses to Umar Nurmagomedov at PFL and Pipe Vargas. So, I don't know who Pipe Vargas is. Let me see what he's got. That was a flying knee loss. He's 7-3 now, and he's nowhere near the UFC. He's fights in Combate and WXC. So, kind of a tale of two people, if you want to be honest and tell the truth. But I'm trying to remember his last fight. Yeah, okay, so he did. He fought on UFC Vegas 34. So did Kelleher, actually. That's interesting. So Bahamondes, that was the one Bahamondes with that. Oh, yeah. So, he's good. He's got good takedowns. He jumps the guillotine and lost, but he flips Jones over. He has good transitions. I looking back at my notes on him now. So he throws heat, and he's shaking up Jones some, but he gives up the single too easy, and got pushed to the fence, and he just wailed on Jones, and Jones is just backing up. Jones, he got Said, he gets against the fence and gets Said to the ground. Said, right hook, and Jones ducks under, doesn't get the takedown, but gets to the fence. So, Kakramanov is going to have to really show what he's made of here, because Kelleher's going to bring this fight to the ground, honestly. That's what he's known for. And that's where he struggled against Umar Nurmagomedov. But, he beat Askar. So, guillotine choke in round 3, he won. The guy's a kickboxer. I mean, I'm looking, round 2 knockout, 39-second round 1. Rear naked choke against Georgi Kudalashvili. Is that the same? No, that's not the same guy. Okay. I thought that was the guy who beat, what's his name? Decision, a Dar stroke. So he's kind of rounded. I don't know. This could be an interesting fight. I like Said Yakub. I really like what he brings to the table. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to be it for today. I forgot to plug the Patreon early, so if you want to be a boy, check out the podcast and get on the extra podcasts. that I do and the extra writing and all that. Check it out, Fight Library. Follow me on Twitter, Blaine Henry TFL. Also, check out the Reddit page, Fight Library. That's one of my new things that I like. It's actually pretty cool. I post a lot of videos there, and you can too. We can chat and have a good time. That's going to be it for me. You guys be good. I'm out. Later, Gator.